Let's talk about one of the biggest hitters in the game in Bryson DeChambeau, but one on the way back from injury, a fractured hamate in his hand as well as a torn labrum in his left hip, maybe the product of the pursuit for distance that he has gone on over the last few years, but it's one that has absolutely borne fruit for him in becoming a US Open champion and the longest hitter in the game of golf. So let's take Bryson from the course and into the studio here using our Sky Scope technology and talk distance with the driver in hand. Good at address, a nice wide base, the first thing that we look at there, and he needs that because the stability with that much power at your disposal, you need a strong foundation. Also the grip here, a little different from what we see with a lot of the modern day players. It's weak in that sense that, I mean, the logo on the back of his glove is looking down the target line, a little bit like Jordan Spieth. Most players these days have stronger grips where that logo will be looking more up towards the sky. A nice little bit of tilt back at address as well to help him with that up strike with the driver. Again, launch high, low spin, all the characteristics of a big hitter. Let's take him back and we start to see where this distance comes from. In this position with the left arm parallel to the ground, with a lot of golfers we'd see almost 90 degrees of set. By that I mean the arm would be there but the club would be pointing up in the sky, creating that 90-degree angle between the club and that left arm. With Bryson, nowhere near that. Lovely and wide there, maybe what, 150 degrees, the angle between the club and the arms. He's going to set it much later on. The width, though, creates a wider circle. The wider the circle, the faster the outside moves. It's starting to make sense now. Let's take him on through to the top of his backswing. Really nice turn as well. Big focus on the lower half here. You can see that left knee starting to kick in towards his right foot. No restriction at all in his lower half, and that's really important. The days of keep the right hip stable, hold against that right knee, nothing like that these days. He allows the freedom, gives him the power, gives him the turn, but also gives him longevity in his career as well, protects the lower back. So many of the top players swing it this way now, and it creates that turn, that amazing turn, 110 degrees of turn in the backswing. There is that look that is a little bit like a baseball player, and what we're going to see now is the planting of the left foot and the load eventually, that snap load at the top of the backswing. So the late load, which we didn't see early in the swing, is now that coil is ready to go, and there's a lot of force ready to be unloaded down through strike. His kinetic chain absolutely perfect, and the firing up through the ground, Newton's third law in full effect. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, loads the energy down into the ground, pushes up through strike, and that energy goes out to that club head and creates all of that speed to this point. I mean, this is pure power. Send him on through to the finish, and yes, sometimes it looks a little ungainly, but what do you expect? There's so much speed and power here. He's just trying to stay balanced through to his finish, going over a little on the side of that foot. It's a swing that is delivered. He's a US Open champion. He hits the ball an awful long way, north of 320 yards. The question for Bryson is it worth it? He is the biggest hitter, but maybe sometimes at the cost of his health as well. Yes, he's got this power, needs to be healthy enough to use it though.